Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
Connor, a young, adventurous diplomat from Earth, is stationed on an alien outpost nestled deep within Zilani territory. The Zilani are known for their striking beauty, tall, slender forms, and uniquely vibrant eyes. Their features are both human-like and ethereal, making them almost mesmerizing to behold. Despite the advanced human technology Connor has access to, his mission as one of the first humans among Zilani requires a delicate blend of diplomacy, open-mindedness, and adaptability. Connor marvels at the Zilani settlement's intricate design, organic structures that blend seamlessly with nature, using energy sources that emit a soft, pulsating glow. He's here to learn about their customs and foster connections between their species, but he feels slightly on edge, knowing the Zilani approach to privacy and personal space differs greatly from that of humans. Connor is greeted by two Zilani escorts who introduce him to his official hosts for the mission, Lyra and Syrah, twin daughters of one of the Zilani council members. As they enter, Connor is taken aback by their identical appearances. Both are tall with pearlescent skin, long silver hair, and radiant eyes that shift in color with their emotions. Their presence exudes confidence and curiosity, and they immediately begin peppering Connor with questions. Lyra and Syrah, being deeply interested in alien visitors, ask him about Earth, human customs, and what makes him unique as a human. Connor explains that humanity values privacy and respects certain boundaries that the Zilani might find unnecessary. The twins seem amused by this notion, but nod with polite curiosity. After the introductions, Lyra and Syrah guide Connor to his quarters. As they show him around, their eyes linger on him a bit longer than he's comfortable with. To his surprise, they openly comment on his physique, pointing out the differences in muscle structure and skin tone. Connor, trying to remain professional, realizes the Zilani have a very open culture when it comes to physical appearance. They ask him about his body, wondering why his features are so different, especially compared to Zilani males, who are more slender and wiry. Lyra leans in closer, her eyes examining him with a mixture of fascination and innocent curiosity. Just as Connor is about to excuse himself, the twins laugh lightly, explaining they're only being respectful by observing and acknowledging differences. They remark that Zilani often find humans exotic, and that Connor should take their interest as a compliment. Connor, feeling both flustered and amused, decides to roll with it, trying to embrace their curiosity as part of his diplomatic duty. As they conclude the tour, the twins invite Connor to join them later for a ceremonial gathering, a casual event where Zilani share stories and perform dances to welcome visitors. They encourage him to wear something comfortable and assure him it will be a chance to get to know each other better. Connor, eager yet nervous about what this event might entail, agrees. That evening, Connor changes into a comfortable tunic provided by the Zilani, feeling a bit self-conscious about the loose and almost transparent fabric. As he steps out, he's greeted by Lyra and Syrah, dressed in flowing, vibrant robes that shimmer under the ambient glow of the settlement. The gathering is held in an open-air pavilion where other Zilani sit in small groups, engaged in lively conversation and music. Lyra and Syrah take his hands and lead him toward the center of the gathering. He notices curious glances from other Zilani, though their expressions are warm and welcoming. The Zilani believe that to truly understand a person, you must know their core essence, something that Connor realizes might explain their openness in both manner and attire. As the evening unfolds, the Zilani share stories of their ancestors, tales of bravery, and accounts of exploration beyond their home planets. Lyra and Syrah invite Connor to share something about Earth, and he tells them a story of an early space mission, recounting humanity's determination to explore the unknown despite their physical limitations. The twins and nearby Zilani are captivated, listening intently to Connor's words. Lyra remarks how humans, though physically bound by gravity, have a spirit that seems to defy it. Syrah, with a playful smile, asks if human bodies are as strong as their spirits, nudging the conversation toward more personal questions. After the storytelling, Lyra and Syrah escort Connor to a quieter part of the pavilion, where they continue their conversation, now with a more personal tone. They begin to openly ask about his physique, especially his differences compared to the Zilani, who are slender and lack the defined musculature that humans have. This leads to some delicate but earnest questions about his unique anatomy. Connor, blushing, tries to explain that humans generally don't discuss certain parts of their bodies as openly. However, the twins assure him that their questions are purely out of cultural respect and curiosity. They find his reluctance amusing, especially since Zilani customs celebrate physical diversity as a reflection of individual uniqueness. Seeing his embarrassment, Lyra and Syrah giggle, admitting they'd heard from other Zilani about certain physical traits of humans. They tell Connor they'd been eager to meet him precisely because he represented something completely different from anything they'd known. They ask him if he'd be willing to let them see his unique traits at some point, clarifying that for Zilani, this would be a gesture of trust and acceptance. Connor, caught between amusement and bashfulness, manages to politely decline, explaining that humans have a different approach to intimacy. The twins respect his boundaries, though they're visibly fascinated by his explanations. They agree to give him time to adjust, and Connor feels a mixture of relief and intrigue, wondering what other cultural surprises await him. As the gathering winds down, Lyra and Syrah mention the rite of exploration, a tradition in which Zilani connect with beings from other species to foster bonds of understanding and unity. It's an ancient practice, performed with respect and admiration, not only for the body, but also for the spirit. The twins confess that they've been eagerly awaiting the opportunity to perform the rite with a human, as they believe it could bring their cultures closer. Connor, still uncertain, promises to consider their invitation, intrigued by the thought but cautious of crossing any professional boundaries. The twins smile, thanking him for his openness and telling him that the rite is not just about physical connection but an emotional one as well. With this promise lingering in the air, Connor returns to his quarters, his mind racing with a blend of curiosity and anticipation. The next morning, Connor wakes early, his mind still buzzing with thoughts of the previous night. He can't shake the twins' invitation to the rite of exploration from his thoughts. Though he's hesitant, he finds himself drawn to the idea, curious about the Zilani's perspective on connection and intrigued by Lyra and Syrah's unfiltered interest in him. He reminds himself that he's here as an ambassador, to learn and, if appropriate, to share in their customs. As he steps outside, he finds Lyra and Syrah waiting for him, their expressions warm but subtly hopeful. They propose a day exploring some of the Zilani landscapes and explain that experiencing the beauty of their world is an important part of understanding their culture. The twins lead Connor through a series of lush, vibrant forests that seem to pulse with life, eventually bringing him to a stunning overlook. The view takes his breath away, a vast valley of iridescent flora stretching as far as the eye can see, with rivers winding like ribbons of light. The Zilani believe that their land is a living, breathing entity, and they describe how they see each part of it as connected, much like individuals are to one another. As they talk, Lyra and Syrah subtly shift the conversation back to him, asking him about his life on Earth, his ambitions, and what drives him. Connor opens up about his desire to bridge the gap between species and to foster understanding in the galaxy. He admits he hadn't expected to connect so deeply with any individual on this mission, much less two. Their conversations become more personal, and Connor begins to feel a deeper connection to the twins. He shares stories about his family, his past, and moments when he faced adversity. In return, Lyra and Syrah tell him about their lives as daughters of a council elder, the expectations placed upon them, and their dreams of exploring beyond Zilani space. At one point, as they sit together on a large rock overlooking the valley, Syrah gently places her hand on Connor's, a gesture that signifies kinship in Zilani culture. She and Lyra look at him with a quiet intensity, and Connor realizes that their bond has evolved beyond curiosity or diplomacy. They genuinely care for each other. As they head back, Lyra brings up the rite of exploration once more, this time with a tone of gentle encouragement. She explains that the rite isn't simply a physical ceremony. It's meant to forge an unbreakable connection, an experience that allows two, or in this case, three, individuals to truly see each other as they are, without pretense or barriers. The twins share that they've always done everything together and that it's considered a great honor to participate in the rite with someone they trust. Lyra admits that she and Sarah feel something special with Connor and that they hope he might consider joining them in the rite. Connor, sensing the sincerity in their words and feeling his own sense of connection with the twins deepen, considers their request carefully. He understands that this experience would be a way to honor Zilani traditions and to strengthen the alliance between their people. Despite the inner conflict he feels about participating in something so intimate, he realizes that he trusts Lyra and Sarah and is genuinely curious about their culture. After a thoughtful pause, he agrees to take part in the rite, on the condition that they take things slowly, with mutual respect and open communication. Lyra and Sarah nod in agreement, their faces lighting up with joy. They tell him that the rite will take place in a secluded area, under the stars, where they'll be surrounded by the natural beauty of the Zilani landscape. The twins spend the rest of the day preparing for the ceremony, setting up a space that is both sacred and symbolic. They explain that the Zilani believe the stars above represent the spirits of those who came before them, watching over and blessing these rare moments of connection. Connor helps them set up, feeling a mix of anticipation and awe. As evening falls, he reflects on the journey he's been on since arriving and the unexpected bonds he's formed with Lyra and Sarah. The moment is near, and while he feels a twinge of nervousness, he's ready to embrace this new experience, stepping beyond his comfort zone in the spirit of mutual understanding. The night is clear, with both of Zilani's twin moons casting a silver glow over the secluded grove. The trees around the ceremonial area seem to radiate a soft luminescence, heightening the sacred atmosphere. Lyra and Sarah lead Connor to the center of the grove, where woven blankets and glowing crystals create an inviting space under the open sky. The twins explain the process of the rite of exploration. They tell Connor that it's a deeply respected Zilani tradition, honoring the spirit and form of another being in a way that celebrates differences. They explain that it's about setting aside boundaries and truly connecting, seeing each other as they are. To begin, Lyra and Sarah start with a traditional Zilani dance, their movements fluid and synchronized, a graceful rhythm that reflects the unity they hope to achieve through the rite. The dance, they explain, symbolizes the weaving together of different lives, creating a bond that transcends superficial differences. Connor watches, captivated, as the twins move in harmony, each movement conveying reverence and purpose. Once the dance concludes, the twins join him on the blankets, sitting close on either side. They each take one of his hands, looking into his eyes with warmth and sincerity. They begin to speak softly, chanting words in their language, calling upon the spirits of their ancestors to bless this union. Connor feels a strange sense of peace wash over him, the chanting creating a sense of belonging he hadn't expected. The next part of the rite involves them openly discussing their physical forms, a step meant to honor and appreciate each other's differences. The twins, both curious and unfiltered, initiate this with gentle but direct questions about his human anatomy, something they find fascinating and unique. Lyra, with a shy smile, comments on the musculature of his arms, noting how different his build is from Zilani males. "Your form is so strong, Connor," she says, her tone respectful but openly admiring. "We Zilani are slender, more adapted to our environment, but humans seem robust." Sarah giggles softly, her gaze shifting downward. "And your, well, lower anatomy is very different too." She looks at Connor with innocent curiosity, explaining that their males don't have the same characteristics. She's curious why humans have developed in such a way, both biologically and culturally. Connor, feeling both amused and slightly self-conscious, tries to explain, mentioning that humans have a range of body types and that different environments on Earth have shaped them. The twins listen intently, nodding along with his explanation, their genuine fascination easing his initial embarrassment. As part of the rite, Lyra and Sarah reach out to gently trace his form, their touch respectful and curious, as if exploring something precious and rare. They comment on the texture and warmth of his skin, and Lyra mentions how his uniqueness is both beautiful and a sign of strength. Their conversation shifts into a discussion about human biology, and Lyra gently almost playfully, expresses awe at how different he is. The twins are particularly fascinated by the structure of his body and comment openly on it, asking Connor how this relates to human strength and resilience. Connor, finding humor in the situation, answers their questions with patience, eventually relaxing and embracing their curiosity. The rite then moves to its final stage, the symbolic union, which the twins describe as a ritual of acknowledgement and unity. They explain that this part of the ceremony is about appreciating each other as complete beings, a testament to the connection they've built over their time together. The twins and Connor embrace, each appreciating the closeness and warmth of the moment. They allow themselves to share an intimate closeness, blending Zilani and human tradition in a way that feels organic and respectful. The experience is both tender and deeply emotional, a unique exchange of culture and trust that leaves each of them feeling changed. As the ritual concludes, the three lie together under the stars, their bodies and minds at ease. The twins softly discuss the experience, remarking that Connor's differences only made the connection richer and more meaningful. They tell him that he's now considered part of their soul lineage, a sacred acknowledgement that ties him to the Zilani on a spiritual level. Connor feels honored and deeply moved, realizing that the connection he's formed with Lyra and Syrah is more than just an alliance. It's a bond that will shape him for the rest of his life. He thanks them both, understanding that he now carries a part of the Zilani spirit with him, a connection that will remain even across the stars. Connor wakes up to the soft, warm glow of the Zilani dawn. The grove, now illuminated by the rising sun, feels serene, and he takes a quiet moment to savor the beauty of the place. Lyra and Syrah stir beside him, their peaceful expressions mirroring his own sense of calm and fulfillment. They exchange gentle smiles, a silent acknowledgement of the bond formed through the rite. As they stretch and settle into a comfortable position around each other, Lyra's gaze shifts to Connor with a hint of playful curiosity. "Connor," she begins, "we've experienced much together, and yet there is something we're still curious about." Connor raises an eyebrow, sensing another layer to their curiosity. Syrah nods, an amused but earnest expression crossing her face. "We've only ever known Zilani males, and while the rite allowed us to explore, we still find ourselves fascinated by certain aspects of human anatomy. Particularly," she pauses, glancing down and back up with a light-hearted grin, "what sets you apart from us so noticeably?" Connor chuckles, caught off guard but not unamused. His initial embarrassment gives way to comfort as he realizes that their curiosity is sincere, unfiltered by the human reservations he's accustomed to. "Well," he says, humor dancing in his voice, "I guess humans and Zilani are just built a bit differently." Lyra tilts her head, her expression thoughtful. "We noticed, during the rite, that humans are robust in ways Zilani aren't. Your physical traits, especially those of your, lower anatomy, seem designed for something unique. Does this relate to human mating?" Connor, feeling the trust and openness they've cultivated, decides to answer honestly. He explains how human physiology has evolved for varied environments, and how traits such as muscle density, height, and even certain anatomical differences are part of Earth's diverse evolutionary history. He explains, somewhat sheepishly, that human males are biologically wired to attract mates, which might explain some of their physical differences. Syrah and Lyra exchange amused glances, laughing softly. "Among the Zilani, physical differences are rarely so pronounced," Syrah says, tracing her finger along Connor's arm in admiration. "Your physique, it's almost impressive, in a way that commands attention." Lyra nods in agreement. "When we first saw you, we were struck by the strength in your form. It's no wonder humans have such a reputation for resilience." She glances at him with admiration, a new appreciation for his human traits shining in her eyes. The twins then share more about Zilani mating rituals, explaining that for them, mating is a deeply spiritual connection, less focused on physical attributes and more on shared energy. They describe how Zilani couples will often exchange energy through prolonged eye contact, even shared dreams, to foster a connection that transcends the physical. They admit that their interest in Connor's body stems partly from curiosity about the human emphasis on physique. You see, Sira explains, for Zalani, connection is often an exchange of presence and energy. But with humans, there is an aspect of tangible strength that's undeniably intriguing. Connor nods, reflecting on the differences. I think, for humans, the physical can often be a gateway to deeper emotions. It's not that we don't value connection on a spiritual level, but there's something to be said for the visceral nature of touch. The conversation turns admiring, each of them openly appreciating the qualities that set the other apart. Lyra gently traces the outline of Connor's hand, remarking on the strength and warmth she feels. Your body tells a story of resilience, she says softly. It is a reminder of the strength humans bring into the galaxy. Sira touches Connor's shoulder, noting how his physique contrasts with Zalani, who are more delicate in form but also resilient in spirit. There's something beautiful in the way your form represents Earth's struggles, its challenges. You carry that strength with you, and we admire it. Connor is touched by their words, feeling seen and appreciated in a way that transcends physical attraction. And I admire how Zalani approach connection, he says sincerely. There's a grace to it, a deep respect. It's something I hope to carry with me. A reminder that strength can also mean openness and empathy. As the morning deepens, the twins take Connor's hand and lead him to a small ceremonial hall near the heart of the settlement. There, they present him with a final parting gift, a pendant of shimmering Zalani crystals, each stone carefully chosen and polished to reflect the soft glow of their land. Lyra explains that these crystals carry blessings from their ancestors, meant to protect and guide him as he journeys through the galaxy. Connor accepts the gift with reverence, understanding that it represents the essence of their connection. This means more than I can express, he tells them, his voice filled with gratitude. I promise I'll keep it close always. As Connor prepares to board his transport back to human territory, the three share a final embrace. Sira, with a gentle smile, tells him that he'll always be welcomed by the Zalani as part of their lineage. Lyra adds that their connection is unbreakable, tied through the rite and the shared experience they've had. Connor, feeling both sadness at leaving and fulfillment from the bond they've formed, promises to return if he ever has the chance. As he steps aboard the transport, he watches the twins one last time, their forms softly illuminated by the early light, knowing that his connection to them will remain no matter the distance. As the transport lifts off, Connor reflects on his experience with Lyra and Sira, feeling a newfound respect for their culture and a deeper understanding of his own. The pendant in his hand serves as a constant reminder of the bond they've shared, and he feels a renewed commitment to his role as an ambassador, eager to carry the lessons he's learned back to humanity. With a sense of hope and purpose, Connor realizes that his journey with the Zalani has opened his heart and mind, bridging the gap between species through curiosity, connection, and mutual respect. He feels confident that this experience will be the foundation for future alliances, carrying with him the spirit of unity as he ventures back into the stars.